Welcome to Artcasters, episode something, because I forgot to check the number before we went live. And Frank, you shall have Jim, but only digitally here on this show. I don't know how else you want him, but this is how it's going to happen. So tonight we have Jim Lujan, and it's quite possible that we have other people that will be like surprise guests, much like the Muppet Show, I believe is what we're going to go with on there. So real quick, you're on my channel. Give it a thumbs up if you'd like. And my name is Corey Kerr. You can find my stuff at coreykerr.com. And Josh, where can we find your stuff?
All right. Well, pretty soon you can find me at TCAF, actually next weekend, which is kind of exciting. I think it's next weekend. So anyhow, that should be really thrilling. I am planning on selling copies of Jacob's Apartment, which is officially out. So my graphic novel, Jacob's Apartment, a slice of life comic book done in the vein of Ghost World and Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, a story about faith, the kinds of questions that can shake even the strongest of faith. That came out yesterday officially, and so I'll be signing copies of that. And then on the 2nd, I'll also be signing copies at Barnes & Noble. So yeah, that's my wares. For now, just pre-order Jacob's Apartment. I think there's like 15 copies left on Amazon from what I saw too. So scoop them up.
Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at circworks.com. You can also find my videos on my YouTube channel. Just search Circworks on YouTube. And just be on the lookout. Next month, I will be launching the Kickstarter for my comic book, Young and the Dead. The new issue is issue 5, but you will be able to get all issues, any issue that you don't have, complete your collection or just get the new one, whatever the case is. Corey's actually working on a variant cover. My friend Gary's working on a variant cover. So we're going to have some really cool variant covers that you can also get. So definitely be on the lookout for that.
Nice.
Oh, and Josh has a variant cover, but he did it a while back, so I forgot to mention it.
And Jim, we have both of you guests ready to go. So just give me the thumbs up when you want me to invite them in, and tell us where we can find your stuff.
My name is Jim Lujan, and I read smut. Josh, I couldn't find my copy of Jacob's Apartment. It's somewhere around here. I don't know. And congratulations, Josh, too, by the way.
Thank you.
And I'm an animator, and I'll be appearing at DCAF, which is the convention for decaffeinated coffee drinkers. And you can get my new book there called The Young and the Very, Very, Very Close to Being Dead. So, and also I have a new film out called Sugar Machine.
Yes.
For reals. Out on YouTube. You can go to YouTube. Just go to jimlujan.com. That's my YouTube channel, actually. It'll take you right there. So with that being said, good night, everybody.
Oh, Jim, if I wanted to listen to the soundtrack for Sugar Machine, because it does have a jammin' soundtrack, where would I find that too?
That is actually true. And the soundtrack to Sugar Machine is now out through DistroKid, which is an online distribution thing. You could find it at Apple. What do they call it? Apple Music?
Nice.
Whatever. Yeah. Apple.
Spotify too, right?
At the Beatles, Apple Records. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it anywhere. Literally any digital distribution site or anywhere they sell Better Finds and tapes and records. So, but yeah, the soundtrack's really good.
I bought it from a guy on the street with a trench coat and a bunch of burnable CDs. So you literally can find it anywhere.
And the burnable CDs are really great because after you're done listening to them, you can actually burn them in the fireplace, which is good. So, but yeah, I'm very happy and very excited to have the film out. And I was very honored when Corey asked me to be on tonight. And I just thought to myself, boy, is the audience sick of us yet, or at least me yet. And the answer is no, they just can't get enough. So here we are.
So should we have Should we have our
Well-
guest on, or do you want to kick into?
Well, let's intro the topic and then bring in our guests. How about that? So I'll intro the topic.
Hey, real quick, Jim. I've got an idea, and I just want to float it by you.
Okay.
I want to see if you would join me in introing our topic today.
You know, I would, but since the topic,
I can't pay you, but I can promise you that we will become better friends. And we'll have something in your portfolio later.
Only accept payment in cat coin and also in Funyuns. So you work it out. But what is our topic today, Corey?
Well, I think I want to just interject there that topics are a really interesting topic. And so we thought, no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Our topic is hot tonight. That's what our topic is. It's hot.
Our topic is getting other people to join you in your project.
I love it.
And it's a little bit different than trying to convince people to do things for exposure or trying to con someone. It's really like, hey, I'm doing something rad. Do you want to join me doing this rad thing?
Yeah. Well, although when I do it, it is a con, but I understand what you're saying. Yes.
I have felt conned before by Jim in collaborating with him, so I understand that feeling.
Every time I collaborate with Jim, which was once, he basically invites me to comic conventions, and I'm like, I've been conned again. Every time.
Yeah. Well, if you never do it again, you'll be an ex-con. So you'll be back, Josh. You'll be back.
Very, very hard on the dad jokes tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Maybe we should all take drugs.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right. So, anyways, that's our topic, and we actually brought some special topical guests on. I believe the one on the left drinking the hard cider, or now she's on the right, is.
I don't know I was here yet.
Is named Kerr by coincidence. Wow.
No relation.
No. And she has been in one of my films. She played a college girl in the collaboration that Corey and I did called An Unchained Aggression. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Malia Kerr. And that's it. That's the only guest we have tonight. So here we go. Wait a minute.
Do we lose sound, or is it just me? Oh, it's probably just me.
It's you, Scott.
Yeah, my headphone. I need new headphones. Sorry.
Our other guests could be found at the hentai booth at Scottsdale Con.
Did somebody say hentai?
Well, hello, it's Gary Hodges.
Squatch, if you're watching, this is supposed to be a brief appearance. So I don't,
So he's in his briefs.
Yeah, so I'm.
Speaking of Squatch.
Yeah.
So anyways, I guess Corey's leaving it to me to get this party started.
Yeah.
First off, I'd like to say thank you to both of you for appearing in different films of mine. And also would like to say that will not be the end of it. That will not be the end of it.
Sounds like a threat.
Yeah, right.
That's
Oh, wait.
awesome.
I probably should phrase that differently. That will not be the end of it?
No, if we're doing it.
I guess so. I'm going to talk like a 14-year-old all the time. You guys will definitely be in more of my projects. I really had a good time. One of the things I wanted to bring up tonight is how bringing new blood into the castle can actually rejuvenate and motivate the project to other levels that it otherwise normally wouldn't reach. I find that working with, there was a long time I worked by myself. I did all the voices, all the stuff. And that was fun, but I found bringing in people just adds for me, it's a whole new motivation the last like 7 or 8 years. And it's fun to play with others besides playing with yourself.
There it is. That's what I was looking toward that. It was just
a long setup for that. But
into there, pulling into that lot. But yeah.
Thank you. I'm spent. So
So to speak.
I have had a different experience. Well, I've had several different experiences, but my most recent experience, I was working with about 22 students and recent graduates who said that they would be interested in working on this thing. And these are all the people, like I asked more than that, handpicked. And at the end of that, I was like, all right, anybody who's interested, fill out this form. And it was like not a quick form to fill out. 22 of them filled out the form. 6 of them actually showed up to do anything. And after that 3-month project, I decided, I don't know if I want to collaborate with anybody anymore. Even though the ones that showed up did some fun and interesting things. There is a huge difference between collaborating with professionals and people that are, I don't want to say adults because college students are adults, but more adult than college students. Because I've collaborated with Josh and Scott and Jim, and I had a great experience doing all 3 of those, and that was really fun. But my most recent one, when Jim was like, let's talk about getting other people to come on and do your project, I was like, I have a lot of negative things to say. So anyway, but yeah.
Well,
so Gary,
you're doing it out of necessity as well. That's a difference. You're in a position where you have to have actors because you're making a partially live action film.
Yes.
I'm doing it out of choice because these people are beautiful and wonderful.
But I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I see that you're doing this thing. I'd love to get involved. And I'm like, sweet. And they're going to do the music or whatever. And then so I wait for them to do the music. And then I get a couple little samples from them. And then I check in with them. And then 2 months goes by. And then I say, hey, I've been done with the animation now for like 8 weeks. Are you... And then just nothing. And then I do the music myself. And then my show is 2 months later than it needed to be. And it pisses me off. And I lost all steam on the second episode. So I guess what I'm asking, Gary, Malia, and Jim, how do you get people to do stuff and not flake out and be excited about it? Because
I want to start that conversation. We already had that conversation. I'm defer to over this way, Gary, on this one.
I'm the absolute worst person to ask because I generally don't collab. I enlist people to be reference models for the comics, for the D versus M comics. In fact, 1, 2, 3 people on this stream, and 4 if you include myself, have basically stood in for characters in D versus M. But in terms of like actual artistic collaboration, like I'll give you something to do and you do your thing, or being a part of a team, like I have to admit it's a little more like Corey. Like I've had terrible experiences. It's kind of ruined me on the, like I would be very shy.
I still think, oh, sorry, Gary. I was just going to say, I still think even enrolling people and being, models for your comic is still, that's still kind of an ask. It's something a lot of people might not be comfortable with. So
yeah, it is.
I think you can speak to that.
The selection process is a little funny. Like I usually what I'm doing is, so I've got characters and then I kind of just think about my friends list and think like, who could I sort of picture looking vaguely like that person, or being able to do the kind of like mannerisms I'm imagining. But you're narrowing, and it's not just like the superficial thing. It's who would be actually willing to do this, because not everyone can model. If you've ever done it like in a life drawing class or anything like that, it's very weird. Like it's very weird to have someone taking a lot of pictures of you and asking you to make faces and asking you to pretend you're holding this thing or pretend you're doing this.
What's weird is when
Gary, all those questions about your plants and stuff that you ask, and then the casting couch stuff, it's a little weird. And I'm wondering, am I ever going to appear in Dinosaurs versus Marsbots? That's what you promised.
Yes,
me,
actually,
Gary.
in fact, I've booked a room at a local
promised me
hotel just
Yeah.
on the freeway that
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, keep that promise. I just, I know it's like, it's the way Hollywood is and all, but
Right. But so that's, in a way, it's collaboration. They bring their own thing to it, and I work with them, and I always find something fun in what they did that I'm going to add to the book. I guess I don't think of it in the same way as like I've never had anyone do a cover for me. I've never had someone write something and I'm going to draw it, or they wrote something, or vice versa. Like I said, I think because I've had there was I think I've talked about it on the stream before. I was involved in an indie game project. I was the art guy. And there was the art guy, there was the music guy, and there were 8 million programmers, 8 million being like 6. And we were me and the music guy were the only people getting work done. And it really was frustrating because I felt like, this is easy for me to say because I'm not a programmer, the art and the music is the hardest part. We're doing the hardest part. We're getting our stuff done, and you guys are dicking around. So it kind of burned me where I was like, okay, I'm doing everything myself from now on.
And that's why Gary has no friends.
Exactly.
The end.
Yes.
So.
I'm pretty motivated by fear, Corey. Creative motivated by the fear of looking like a fool or letting people down. I have an innate fear of disappointing people. So if you just, I don't know, tell people how disappointed you'll be in them, maybe they'll produce for you. Maybe they'll do what they say they're going to do.
Does that work, Corey?
It works very, very well for not our current generation of college students. But anybody older than that, it works. Millennials and older. So I have no tricks for Gen Z right now, the Zoomers.
Is it being raised by, gosh, what was our parents' boomers, Core?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it being raised by boomers that gives us such fear of people hating us or letting people down?
That's a good question.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
you guys,
I'm disappointing because I'm terrified.
That needs to be like the name of the next slice of life autobio comic, Raised by Boomers.
Raised by Boomers. And
I don't know how farcical you're being, but I kind of think there's something to that.
I agree.
I do think, I don't think it's as simple as I want to always do the best I can to impress Dad. But I think there's an element of I don't know if it's different now with kids. I don't know if it's really like you hear on TV where all kids are winners, all kids get a trophy, and everything they do is great. That's definitely not how I grew up. My parents were a tough crowd, so I'm sure that plays into it.
Yeah, no, and I'm being 100% genuine here. I really am motivated by fear of looking like a fool.
Yeah.
I do community theater. So if I screw up, then there's a bunch of people I don't know, and a lot of people probably wouldn't care about either because you don't know them. But also, I mean, castmates and an audience full of people. If I screw up, I'm not that good at improv. I'm not good at all at improv, and so I'm kind of screwed. So if I don't know my stuff in my sleep, I'm screwed. And I really do think that comes from, part of it is the trauma of being afraid of disappointing people. But that it's a healthy dose. If I'm a somewhat successful adult, I guess it wasn't that traumatic. It wasn't that bad, right? Being raised by boomers. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
And we have the therapy bills to, have turned that into a beneficial thing. Yeah.
For what I go through a bottle of Malox a day. That's everybody, right?
Fine.
I just want to know if Malia had that memorized.
No,
I did work on that. I worked on that so hard.
she's literally been.
He
She's
was going to ask that question, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, a monologue! I better be ready."
Yeah.
And I know.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't know anything about being raised by boomers. My father was in World War I, so I don't know. But
Well,
I don't know.
Interestingly enough, Jim is actually 68 years old. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's impressive. That's good stuff.
you're one off. But,
I was trying to do the math in my head really fast. Like I'm like, okay, what generation that would have had to been? And then I was like, no, there's no way.
You're one off. I know he's very quietly to himself thinking that he's 69.
Gary, have some class for once.
Don't deny it. Don't deny it.
God.
So
So,
this is a classy
I
style.
know you. I got a beat on you.
oh yeah, I have proof right here. So we're all considered Generation X, right? I would think, kind of, maybe. I am.
Josh and I actually fall into a micro generation in between millennials.
Don't do that, Corey. We're the end of Generation X. We're the last. I think we're the last year. Don't do that like weird betweener.
Right.
But Josh is very comfortable with
No,
not being.
I refuse to admit that there is like a 2-decade-long period where we lump all the humans together and say these people are the same. It's just the dumbest thing ever. I'm very sorry, but if you were born between like 78 and 82, you had a drastically different experience than either generation on either side.
Truth.
Well, I think our generation has the coolest letter, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So.
I
like it because of
I'm
the
very
professor.
proud Gen X. Like it's one of the few member groups I'm very proud of being a part of. But
Yeah.
I don't care what
It's like being an
generation I'm in.
What was that? I missed that. What?
I just said, I don't care what generation I'm actually in. I just am annoyed by the entire idea of like demographics. Psychographics are like way more useful. And anybody who says, well, millennials, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you can go find that millennials are between like 1980 and like 2000. And it's like, that is such a giant gap.
The giant range. Yeah.
And they've shown that there's a massive psychological difference. Now I'm not on my soapbox. I'll stop talking. But there's a massive psychological difference between people who graduated high school before the housing bubble burst in 2008 and people who graduated high school after the housing bubble burst in 2008. If you were in college or in the workforce before or after 2008, there is a huge rift in thinking between those two groups. Yet they're all millennials. It's a bunch of BS. It's so stupid. From a marketing standpoint, it's not even useful.
Why won't you let me have this? Why won't you let me have being able to go to a fellow Gen Xer and say, like, Winona Ryder's hot, huh?
Yeah.
Like, why won't you just let me have that?
I gotta agree with you there, Gary, on both counts.
Okay, Jim, anything you want to ask our guests?
Just want to see what Scott Circlin drinking. That's what I want to know.
I am drinking a Coke with some pecan whiskey.
Whoa, Buster.
Yeah.
Slow down there.
Yeah.
And I will say, Scott has brought that pecan whiskey on a trip once here, and it's pretty good.
I've never even heard of pecan whiskey.
Yeah, I find it you can find it at like a Bevmo. It's called Rebel Stoke is the brand, and I get it at Winco. So yeah, it's good stuff.
And you can shut up, Gary.
I'm going to show my ignorance. Is it actually
And another thing.
Another thing, Gary.
Pecans?
Pecan whiskey. You can take a peek on this whiskey.
To ask, is it actually made with pecans?
I would assume it tastes like pecan. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's pecan whiskey, not pecan.
Oh,
It's
all
different,
Pecan,
Corey.
pecan, whatever.
You say cirrhosis, I say psoriasis. So, anyways, let's get back on track. This is an important topic, and we have an important guest here. Okay.
It is an
Who was the
important
one that derailed it right there?
Okay.
It's,
I had a really good segue,
Pecans.
and then we started
Pecans are
talking
something
about
truckers
pecans.
have.
So let me ask our guests here, because they are guests and we need to treat them as such. But when you're working with someone, it could be me, what's an important factor for you to even agree to do it in the first place? And let's start with Leah. How about that?
Timing. An important factor to agree to do something. I don't know. I am kind of a baby creative, and so I'll do anything. Just kidding. That's not true. Don't anyone get any ideas.
Wait. I got to write that down before I figure out.
Look, who's on the cover this month?
Gary's looking for some new models
Yes. Right.
for his side project he just came up with 15 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So does like when you're going into a project with someone, it could be a play, it could be doing the voices, it could be whatever. Are you thinking about the end product, the product that you've seen this person or company put out before? Are you thinking, is it a mixture of, is this good for me? Am I something I can express myself with or challenge myself with? Like, what types of thought goes into it?
Really, I truthfully, I am so new to what I'm doing creatively that I'm not super picky about what I do, but once I decide to do something, I pick. So I'm acting, and so once I decide I want to do a show, I want to audition for a show, I pick a character that I care about. I zone in on a character, I audition for a specific character, and I kind of pick them apart. I treat them like I kind of treat my audition as if I already have the part, and I audition as if I am that character. So yeah, I'm trying to answer your question.
Well, would you be against, could you play a really hateable character and do it really well where the audience actually literally hates you?
I don't know, but I would love to find out.
Well, I'm doing the Corey Kerr story, if you don't mind.
There's a lot of despicable scoundrels in that story.
I'm not super picky when it comes to what I do because I don't have a lot of experience, and so I'm going to have to do a lot of different things to see what I like.
Hold on.
Also, Malia won't say this, but I will. She tends to get lead roles, and those are typically protagonists, and so she hasn't had a lot of experience playing antagonists or villains or unlikable characters because they're.
Yeah, I don't think if I don't do really acting, but I don't think I would want to play a character that's really hateable, because I don't know, if you do a good job, then the end result is people hate you.
Actually, in one of my I played a character who I wouldn't describe as hateable, but one of the patrons didn't have the very best feelings about my character, and told me, what did she say? She said to my castmates around, this is community theater, so we're out at the entrance of the theater saying, hi, thanks for coming. Yeah, glad you enjoyed the show, whatever. So I hear her say, great job, you're wonderful, like all lovely, high praise to everyone next to me. She gets to me and says, oh well, you're just a whore. So I was like, which
and still you married her son, and I think that's really really a good thing. So.
Which role was that?
I was a baker's wife in Into the Woods.
Oh yeah, you weren't a likable character. That's true.
I was not an unlikable character. The baker's wife. Okay, you could argue that every one of those characters is likable or unlikable.
Right. Everybody in that show.
Depends on if you're in the first act or the second act, but
yeah,
the baker's wife is not. I don't know. She didn't like me, but I died at the end. So spoiler alert.
Yeah, there you go. If you haven't seen that.
So I don't know.
10-year-old play.
I don't know. I was very oversensitive at the time, and I thought it was really, really mean. She super hurt my feelings. So does that answer your question? What was your question, Jim?
Yes. It was our baker's wife's horse.
Oh,
So
I guess.
I think we have our answer. And then Gary, I'll ask you this question, but I could just tell the other cartoonists, comic book artists are going to jump all over you and push you out of the way to answer this one because it's so good. But have you ever collaborated with an inker or a colorist or a letterer or anybody to work on any of your stuff? Okay, is the caller there? Have any of you collaborated with, I know you have, Josh, with other people working on your material? And if so, what does that bring to the project usually? And is there a loss of control? And I know, Gary, you're just stay out of this because you are all about control.
That's right. That's right. I'm a real.
Let's start with Josh. Josh, go ahead.
Let me quickly interject. When it comes to my projects, I'm a little like a control person. I'm happy to help other people with theirs. So if it's my thing, it's like I would rather do it all myself.
Seems like when it comes to the Artcasters, you're a little bit controlling there, Gary. Just a little bit, maybe.
You know what? I'm gonna PM you something right now.
Gary just flipped me off digitally. So, but yeah, Josh, I know you've collaborated with others.
Yeah.
On Artcasters. How easy is it to let go of control when you're working on your own thing like that?
So there's a couple things. I mean, like, one is when you were kind of mentioning like the key components of like, who you choose to collaborate with and what motivates you. I can't help but think that a lot of it has to do with really believing in the project. Like, I think Jim, one of the things that makes people eager to collaborate with you on your stuff is like the people you pick tend to also like really like your animations, and so it's like it's an easy yes when you're like, yeah, I like Jim's cartoons a lot, so it's like I want to be in Jim's cartoon. That sounds fun. Similarly, like if I'm getting paid, that's a huge motivator. So, but I think we're more talking about like projects where you're collectively working on something like together that may not be like bound by money, because money is a good motivator, right?
Yeah.
But and I've collaborated with people in that context, like for close to 20 years, like on art projects, because I mean that's illustration. You get hired most of the time on teams, most of the time seeing somebody else's vision. But I tend to say no to a lot of things. So the thing that's unique about the project I'm working on right now, that I'm actually like penciling as we speak, it's a really brilliant script, and that made all the difference. Like it's a book that I want to see come to reality to the point where I pitched it to my own literary agent, and I didn't write it. My sister had written it, and I was like, this thing needs to be told. Like, it's a really cool story. And it just feels like gold. Like, weirdly enough, it feels like a gold mine. Like, it's a really good book. It's about a famous literary figure that and it's telling a story from an angle that I've never seen anyone attack, even though there have been multiple movies made about this person. So it's like, that to me, like having good art is a huge part of it. Like, it needs to be a good project, like a project that's worth me putting my own projects on the side. And that's a rare thing. This is a first for me, like in the sense of, I've had plenty of people who tried to get me to do comics, like pencil their comics, draw their comics. I remember when I was fresh out of college having like some writer who had been published by many comic book companies and stuff, like offer to just like house me. He was like, you can just live on my property and like just do comics and stuff. And I didn't like his script. So I'm like, why would I do that? So yeah, I think that's the key. It doesn't hurt that it's my sister, and I wanted to see her have her first win, like when it came to like a literary work. But if she had a script that sucked, I wouldn't have pitched it. I wouldn't have been interested in it. I wouldn't be on it. If she had a script that was even good, but it just didn't like ignite like a vision, then that really wouldn't be great either. But the fact that like when I read it, I just visualized it. I was like, this will be. I had a style in mind, like a whole thing in mind for it. And then also it's just something that like Malia was saying, it's like not like it's. I don't want to let people down, and also I don't know if Malia was saying this part, but I also want bragging rights. Like this is a project that is so good that I know when it comes out, I can be like, yeah, I was a part of that. Feel good about it. Even if it like fails, it'll be like that cool indie band. You know, it's like being part of the Pixies or something.
Honestly, that was. I hope this doesn't embarrass him, but that was a big part of my calculation for participating in Sugar Machine, where I was like, I want to be a part of what he does. Like, just even if it's a little tiny thing, I want to be able to say that I was in somewhere in the mix.
Yeah.
So Gary,
You want to be part of his world, right? Like you want to be where the
I paid Josh and Malia $70,000 each to be in my film, and I gave you bragging rights. So
yeah.
So
I should have held out, I guess. Okay.
So I tease Gary quite a bit, but truth be told, Gary and I talk on the phone all the time, and the reason why I think I already know his answer is because Gary and I really are of the same mindset when it comes creatively. And it is sort of a control thing, but it's not a controlling thing. Mm-hmm. And the only difference is I've worked with other people quite a bit out of choice lately, and I don't think Gary's there yet. I think he still has a lot of ground to cover by himself. But you might get to the point where one day where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna work. This person's gonna ink for me, or maybe this person does pencils and I do inks. Or you might just as an experiment want to try something at some point later. But I get it.
I'm open. I guess I'm not totally opposed. I guess I'm just like I alluded probably earlier. I'm just gun shy. If I knew I found the right person to work with, I think like I've always liked the idea. I do enjoy writing more than drawing. So in a perfect world, I could imagine like if I could find someone where I like the art style and I could picture them drawing my work and I knew they would deliver.
Could you write something concurrently while working on your book yourself? Something for somebody else to draw? And
I think so. Because I feel like that's kind of two different parts of my brain. So I think I could do that without totally exhausting myself.
I know all about writer Gary and artist Gary. I know about those guys.
You listened to the podcast. I really do sound like I have multiple personality disorder, but that's kind of how I think of it. So
speaking of like writer Gary and artist Gary, do you think taking on a project like this, if there's a difference because it's something you don't normally do, like doing a voice where that's not what you do. It's more like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to take a crack at that versus like, because if you're doing like artwork for somebody for free, and currently I have 2 people doing artwork for me for free. Not that I didn't offer to pay them, but I'm sure we'll do some kind of trade out or something. But
what suckers!
You didn't write on the dotted line there, Scott. You've sold us your children and as well as your house.
Hey, what are their names?
No, he doesn't realize it's like a Godfather situation where it's like I'm doing you a favor and now
in all honesty, when you get to the point where you are comfortable letting people do stuff for you, if you want to pin up or something, I'm
no, actually, I had some. I'm kind of already toying with something.
Okay,
but
cool.
To answer your question, where I think your question was, and this is ripe for like isolating and embarrassing me with. I'll do anything once, and so the idea of like, hey, do you want to like do a voice in an animated film? It's like, sure, because I've never done that before. Or like in your case, hey, would you want to do a variant cover? It's like, sure. I've never done a cover for anybody's comic before. Like, so I'm open to, and I think because it's different enough from right now, like the daily grind of drawing my comic, it's actually kind of a relaxing diversion. Like, it was fun recording lines for Jim. It's been fun putting together your cover, you know, because it's nothing like what I'm working on day in and day out. If someone came to me and said, hey, I have this idea for a comic, it's only like 8 pages, it's black and white, it's exactly your style, could you help me out? I would say absolutely not.
So all three of you, Josh, Gary, Malia, all three of you have different, you are receptive to different working methods. So with Josh, I knew, like, I could hear Josh's voice in my head when I was creating the character. There was nobody else that I wanted to play the ripped, buffed pastor besides Josh. Like, when I was designing that character.
Because of these two stories.
Because of those 2 stories right there, you know.
There.
Chapter 1, chapter 2.
Yeah, that's right.
And his abs are the abridged version. You know? So, no, but I knew Josh. I heard that voice in my head when I created the character. When I created Gary's character and Malia's character, not at all. It was wide open. And Gary, much like a cat when they're dying, crawled away by himself and didn't want to be seen. And he recorded his lines and then sent them to me. And they were fantastic.
I was go with that metaphor, I guess.
Yes, it worked. You did the Harry Dean Stanton. I was blown away when I heard what you sent back. I was amazed.
I don't remember if we've talked about it here. Originally, you wanted him to sound Jersey.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you had, or at least not. I should be clear. You weren't saying like make him sound Jersey. I was asking like, how are you picturing him? And you're thinking, I'm picturing kind of like that Jersey macho, you know, like that kind of like that attitude,
like a Jersey transplant to LA.
Yeah,
that's what I pictured.
So I actually like queued up some videos on YouTube, like how to do a Jersey accent, and realized like I'm never going to be good at this. It's just going to sound like a guy in like the West Coast trying to do a Jersey accent. It's not going to work. But then somehow we were talking, and you were like, I was also thinking of like a Harry Dean Stanton kind of thing. And that I could hang on. I was like, oh, because I like him a lot. And
you nailed it. I had no idea that you were a Stantonite.
A huge fan. And I was like, now that I think maybe I could kind of get in the universe of. It wouldn't be the same, but I think I can go somewhere with that. So queued up a bunch of scenes of him and listened to him talk over and over and over. He had that kind of hollow, breathy, open throat thing he did, like whatever that was he was doing. And I thought that I can do. So then I think I recorded just a couple lines, expecting, again, probably because boomer kids, expecting you to say like, no, not at all what I pictured. No, let's go back to the drawing board. In fact, let's put you in the next movie. This isn't going to work out. Like, I thought this is all going to go bad. And in fact, it was the opposite, to the point where it kind of alarmed me. You're like, I think this is perfect. We're going with this. And I was like, this is like my first pass at it. You know, are you sure you don't want? I was impressed how decisive you were. Like, you're like, yep, great.
And then when recording with Malia, Malia, I didn't know if you were like where your sense of humor was. If you were going to be like, Jim's weird and he's not funny.
I told Corey that you were a little bit icky.
Okay, yes.
But I'm over it.
But that's on a personal level. I'm talking creatively.
Was that icky or hicky? Like.
That's because I asked Malia when she did the voice. I told her, I want you to play this like a baker's wife.
Which I could do because I've played a whole.
Yeah.
Bake it all the way.
Yeah.
So
more
no,
bakery,
but
please.
You didn't seem, and actually, Corey, if you cue it up, you actually can watch you recording it. We recorded during our Breaking the Chains show. We recorded the recording session.
I don't know what episode it was, but yeah, we do have that live, don't we?
Yeah. So if you go to CoreyKerr.com and you find Breaking the Chains, one of them has the thumbnail probably has Malia, and
I
or
will-
a baker's wife. I don't.
Yeah. I will tell you one of the embarrassing things
You're
is
never gonna live that down now.
I can never say the words baker's dozen again without.
Well, not with the same meaning. At
No.
least. No, and that's
No.
going to persist even when Malia's not on. We're going to be bringing up, like, you know,
Please
you're
do.
acting a little bit like a baker's wife.
But yeah, you can watch Malia figure out the character live.
well,
you know.
because you did that. Let's talk about how you did that, Jim. So you had us on, and we were recording, but we were also live streaming. So recording right to my computer while
Yeah.
you were kind of, was it a FaceTime or something? I don't know, whatever we were doing. And we were, it wasn't FaceTime, whatever, it doesn't matter. We were live streaming it while we were doing it. And what took me by surprise is I was not expecting to be involved other than like I was running the sound. And then all of a sudden Jim goes, as if I'm capable of doing this at all. All of a sudden Jim goes, all right, just Corey and Malia, just kind of like, just riff for a couple minutes, say funny things. And it was the absolute worst thing I've ever done to have Jim Lujan just tell me, be funny right now, like go.
Be funny. Make me laugh.
Say funny things, and I'll just edit it together. And I think I said nothing at all that ever got used because I was just like, what?
It was mostly tears.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
they were funny.
Once I started hugging my knees and rocking back and forth on the floor, you left me alone. But you're pretty brutal up until that point.
That's when it got funny, though.
Yeah, that's when Malia started really laughing, and that's what we kept. No, but you actually, you know what, the inner actor came out in you because you didn't seem like, and you could see this again on live film. You didn't seem nervous at all or second guessing yourself. You really went for it.
Yeah.
I have appeared in a couple of indie films through friends, and I know you think I'm hilarious and fabulous at the same time in real life, but let me tell you, when the camera rolls and it's time to be funny on camera, I don't like it, and I didn't like it. It just is it's a different type of funny for the camera. It's you got to be big and like, hey, and I'm making a joke. You can't be subtle. You got to, I don't know. I wasn't my thing. Do not like acting.
Being funny on purpose is a balance that I do not know how to strike. I might be entertaining. I would never call myself funny, but I might be entertaining as like a friend. But like funny on stage, on camera, it makes me sick to myself. I can't be funny. Please don't. I'll cry. I can cry for you. I'll be devastated. I'll be dramatic. I can be a whore. I can be a baker's wife whore.
Please isolate that.
Please don't make me be funny.
Please.
Jim, I have a question. So the recent video you posted kind of like an outtake of the weatherman, the whole.
Yeah.
You don't get to hear that whole thing in the film,
right?
And I was cracking up. Was that all ad-libbed?
Okay, so that's Charlie Rossman. Right. By the way, I beg of you all to please go Google Charlie. It's Charlie CHARLEY Rossman, 2 S's. He's been in Superbad. He's been in. He hoisted Axl Rose in the estranged Guns N' Roses music video. He carried Axl Rose out on a stretcher. He took a nap on Axl Rose's real life bed. That's a little behind the scenes stuff. Charlie is insane and funny and can do that, can riff like that. The only thing I did to alter that, before he started recording, I knew the greatest thing about working with Charlie. Oh, here's Charlie right here. Hey, Charlie. Hey guys, how's it going, Charlie? He kind of looks like that. The greatest thing.
Wait. That's the twist for the end. Is like Jim goes, by the way, you guys, Charlie was in my head, and then we're like, okay, thanks. That's been the Artcasters.
He's a giant rabbit, actually, Charlie. So, but Charlie, you just wind him up, let him go, and he's hilarious. But the thing I did tell him was there was a couple of points I just wanted him to say. I just wanted him to say, the things that the weathermen say. I forgot what I told him, like, it's going to be cooling off, or there's a cooling trend. I just gave him like 3 words, literally 3 words. And he went running. And then what I did is I took the audio and I just cut the little gaps in between, and it sounds. He's so funny. He did a great job.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice working. And the one thing I've learned too, I think I'm a pretty good director with people. I think.
Yeah.
I haven't made anybody cry yet. But like with Josh, the way we recorded was totally different than the way that Malia recorded. It was like we ended first. You were reading dialogue, but then I was like, it sounds a little bit reedy. It sounds like you're reading.
I'm not a person who like I think Jim clued into this, but I'm not like the greatest reader. Like if I ever tried to do a show where it's just like cue cards, it would be the failingest thing in the world because it's just like it sounds really unnatural when I read. So Jim clued in on that, and then also I'm not really an actor, and which much like Gary was describing, like was interesting to me, like trying it, but it's like I could probably riff and like improv with people, but like for what Jim wanted, it's like we just did the parrot thing where he just
that's what we call it, the parrot method.
I'd just be like, hey, I'm gonna repeat what you say. Except
so I would
like
tell
not like one of Jim's relatives who all talk.
And we actually have this on tape too, don't we? Have this on tape too, don't we? Somewhere.
I think possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I would tell Josh. It was easier to do it this way. I would say, Josh, say this. Welcome everybody to Bridge Harvest, and then Josh would go, welcome everybody, but he would do it better than that, and it was just it happened really fast, and it was really good. So
Yeah.
Both of you did it like actually like you were working with them live.
yeah, well, yeah, and then we just edited the audio.
Yeah, see, I got lines in an email or in Messenger, and I just fired up voice memo and would just and then email him. Like it wasn't real time. Like it was, I would say, I sent you 4 more readings of,
Yeah.
pictures.
Well, yeah, you nailed. I mean, I was shocked when I got your audio. It was really, really like I thought maybe we would have to can we do it a little bit this way or a little bit? And it was perfect. It was, and this is a compliment. When I say it didn't sound like you, I don't mean that like you or not.
Well, I can't tell, but I've been asking people who listen to this, like, can you tell can you pick out my character?
I don't think people can really. Yeah.
Which is good, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I to me, collaborating with you guys, collaborating with everyone that's done voices with me, has been a huge shot in the arm. It's given me like so much motivation to continue on to do things. And then I think it's also been good for the people involved too. The only thing is that they're very poor. The people involved are very, very, very poor because there's like no money coming in. So sorry guys, it's actually costing them money. So I charge people.
Actually, as soon as we log off, I gotta pack my stuff because I'm on the street now. That's
Yeah.
I made a go at it, but
The Lujan curse,
Not
you
working
guys. What you appear in a Jim Lujan cartoon, and it's like equivalent to like playing Superman or something. You've got a curse.
the curse, right? Next thing you know, you're a baker's wife. And
Yeah.
it's
True.
Living on
Part of a baker's dozen.
Living on Baker Street.
On Baker Street, yeah.
Terrible. I can't wait to tell Leanne that story. Leanne, if you're watching, I think Leanne might have just tuned in. Wait till you hear. Malia was just out of control with her story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please isolate that again.
She can't stop saying it.
Corey is in tears. I think Corey, we can't see his face, but he's like in tears crying. Okay.
I'm coughing.
Yeah.
He is in tears, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this. Corey's in Idaho and Malia's in a shelter.
Yeah, I was
So-
wondering how many miles apart are you right now?
We are
Point
I don't
zero zero.
100 feet apart, probably.
Hmm.
I'm in the basement and she's on the 2nd floor. So
Ooh, excuse me, Mr. Hefner. Nice. Wow.
I can I can have a second floor because I live in the middle of nowhere where nothing costs anything. So
We have one floor, and we appreciate that floor. This 2-floor thing.
Down to the basement.
Yeah.
I've taken over the entire basement. So
It's dark and cold.
there's a theater room, and then there's my studio, and
a pre-nager lives down there.
the 12-year-old moved in downstairs in the spare bedroom.
Oh.
Kind of ruined it.
Pre-nager. It took me a second.
He's a pre-nager. Am I worse than a teenager?
Don't say that, because then we're going to be proven wrong. It'll be worse than it is now.
Gosh.
How old is a pre-nager?
12.
12.
I'm trying to remember. 12, I was kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
When it
was
starts.
right when you started menstruating, right? Because that's what we're going through now.
It is.
I just want to
I
take
didn't
that
really want to
audio.
make that public on the stream, but thanks, I guess.
And don't say stream and menstruating. Right. So I just want to take the audio of Gary telling the Harry Potter story and then cut it with that audio of Gary going, "How old's the pre-nager?" And then we'll cut in "I'm a whore" back over and over.
Right.
And then we have the perfect episode. There
Okay,
we
so
go.
Malia doesn't know the Harry Potter story, so let me sum it up. Gary pretended to be Harry Potter to try to lure a bunch of children into his apartment.
Yes. And successfully.
That is
Children
a
that were
very
in,
accurate summary.
and they would visit him in swimwear.
That's
I
right.
was telling it from their dad's point of view.
Yeah, well, that's similar. Yeah, that's not too far off. Yeah.
And his wand has Hogwarts. The end.
Penicillin cleared that all up. It's all fine now. I showed you.
There's a spell. There's a spell for that.
Yes, it's called prison. So, anyways, so
What are we talking? What is this? What is this show
the
about?
topic is
again?
shame, Gary. The topic is shame, and you are our guest of honor. So, Scott's very suspiciously quiet about this topic. Scott, have you ever collaborated with anyone ever in your entire life?
I mean, yeah. I just recently, this last project which is currently on hold, and we don't know if it's going to pick back up. But I hired some artists to do this comic and everything, and I kind of went into it a little hesitantly. Is that a word? With some hesitance, just because I haven't done a lot of collaboration, and I was like, well, what if they don't deliver on time? What if what if they don't give me the best work? That type of thing. And I kind of worried for nothing, because I ended up getting great work. And when it kind of got put on hold, I was pretty bummed out, because now I don't know if this thing's going to see the light of day or whatever. But so yeah, I mean, for me, it was a good experience, and so much, in fact, that I decided that I might create some more projects and hire people to do the artwork and just like write certain things.
Yeah.
I got a number of ideas, and I won't be able to illustrate all of them. So, yeah, it was a good experience for me.
So since this is really about me today,
It is.
just always point all the attention towards me.
True.
I want to tell you about
you are the baker's wife in this. Yeah.
a maker, baker, candlestick, breaker, whatever you know. So my first artistic collaboration as a child, this is a true story. It was in 5th grade. Mrs. Bloomfield was the teacher. And I was the kid that was always caught drawing. I wasn't caught drawing in class, but my friends were caught with my drawings constantly. And Mrs. Bloomfield was the first teacher that really didn't just think it was stupid and get upset. She said, well, let's channel this into creativity. And then I think she talked to me about what I was interested in, what kind of art and TV shows and things I was interested in. And I ended up writing a St. Patrick's Day play, but it was with puppets. They were puppets, but not really puppets. They were drawings, and then I remember we had a popsicle stick and like, held them up, like that. And then we had this big board that we stood behind, and we had a script and everything, and me and 3 other people, would read the parts. And I remember the kids went crazy for it, so much so that we went to different classrooms and did the little show. And there was a lot of sex in it, but so they actually filmed the show for the library too, and that changed my life, the trajectory of my life, because that made me realize, like, creating stuff, putting it out there in front of people is where it's at. And it's funny, but that's kind of what I'm doing these days now. I'm still like, you guys are my puppets on popsicle sticks. That's terrible. But I'm working with other people, and I'm still doing my little plays, and my animation is exactly as good as it was when in fifth grade. So there's as much movement, but it's about making these stories. Like I'm already thinking of the next story, and then like kind of who would be good at what role. And that's really what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing as I did when I was a kid. And it took me a while to get here, because 15 years ago I was doing everything myself. I was doing all the voices, and that was like a sense of pride. Like I'm like Prince. I'm doing everything. I'm doing the music. I'm doing the art. I'm doing the voices. It's a one-man show. Boom. And that was cool. But then when I started slowly collaborating with people, I realized, wow, this is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
But I do want to say this. I did one cartoon. If you go look, it's called Booyah. And it was after Revengeance, and I did it all by myself just to prove, like, I'm going to show you guys I still got it. And I did it, and it got huge numbers. And I was like, see, I still got it. Yeah. But I just got no money from it. But yeah. But I just did that to prove to myself that I could still do a cartoon by myself if I ever needed to. And then since then I haven't done one by myself. But yeah, I mean, I think in a sense, each one of you that's making comics is probably trying to capture something from when you were a little kid. And in Gary's case, he's actually trying to capture little kids.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But no, I mean, we're all kind of chasing that.
Two
more, then you get a pot of gold. So anyways, that little soliloquy that I just did, that's actually true. And it's actually a formative event in my life, was that,
Yeah. I think that I actually kind of relate to that a lot, because I have like one more graphic novel that I'm gonna write and illustrate myself. Right now I'm illustrating one. And then much like Scott, like we've been talking a lot about it, but it's like, I definitely think that probably by the time I'm done with this book, The Not Death But Love, before I get to 2 Stories Book 2, I'm planning on like writing a script for a young adult book, kind of inspired by Yehudi a little bit when we talked to him.
Wow.
But just because I was realizing, like, yeah, there really aren't a lot of like, young adult books for like my son's age, and I think it's so cool that he's making them. And I was like, I should make one. Like that would be cool. So I kind of want to write a script and then like maybe get an artist to work on that with me. And that way, the other benefit of collaboration is like, while that artist is working on that, or if I find an artist that works on that thing, that could be being made while I'm working on 2 stories. Kind of like Dave does. Like Dave is really inspiring in that sense too, where he's got collaborative projects where he'll write and like collaborate with like Nicole, and then he has other projects where he's like completely just writing and drawing everything himself like a madman. So it's like, I don't know, I feel like that isn't as like atrocious as it used to seem. Like when I was younger, I was all about kind of like proving that I like you were saying, Jim, like where it's like it's almost like a proof of like being able to do it all. It's like your solo album or whatever. But now it's like I'm much more open, I think, to the idea of creatively collaborating with other people. Also, just because of the fact that like we got limited time, and like the more people you kind of bring on board, if you find the right people, that's the key. You know, I think it can also cut time out of the process and add inspiration, and like maybe put a different take on it than, you know, what you'd come up with on your own. You know,
If I cast 3 people in my films, I know I'm going to get at least 6 views. So that's also my theory. By the way, Malia's turned into a plant. I don't know if you guys noticed.
I did notice.
Yeah, I think it happens at a certain hour. But
Yeah. Is that a 10 o'clock thing?
It's 11 here, but yeah, it's she has recently got into like plants. Like we used to not have any plants in our house, and now there are not spots in our house that aren't covered in plants.
I like that.
Yeah, so
it's like you're living in your own private Idaho.
Yeah, it's much like that. Yeah, a little 0.22 acres of Idaho.
I know that was sick.
You tried. You know,
tried.
Swing at all the pitches. Why not?
The problem with that is none of these plants could survive outside in Idaho.
Well, neither could you. So.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fair.
Yeah.
So the plants are thinking that too. They're like, "Who are you talking? You can't." Well, those plants can't ride a motorcycle though, so be careful.
Yeah. So.
Well, arguably neither can Coria. Hey!
Oh no!
Oh snap! Nicely landed.
I was totally the Phantom Menace on that one. I set you up to say that.
Yeah, you did. You did. It was like a volleyball thing.
There you go.
Did that, and I just was right there.
I honestly I sold my not sold, but the insurance took my big bike, but I still have a little 50cc off-road motorcycle. And I have not started it up yet. But
motorcycle is going to end off of the road. So
no, but that's where it's supposed to be. So it's totally different. Like you're supposed to ride it in gravel.
So like kind of like the Charlie Brown motocross bike or something, like a little like just.
Yeah, it is actually made by Coleman. You know, the people who make tents and lanterns. Yeah.
You'd be safer on one of those little tiny bikes that the monkeys ride in the circus.
It's not actually that different from that. Yeah. So
well, I'm sure you'll find a way to hurt yourself on it, Corey. Don't sell yourself short.
My next goal is to get hurt kayaking because that's what I'm doing next. So
well, I'm sure there's a shark out there waiting for you.
Yeah, it'll be the one shark back in Idaho.
The one shark in the lake.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if that's if it's gonna happen, it'll happen to me or near me. Usually, it's near me. So
I'm scared for you.
Yeah.
But speaking of collaborations, your doctors really collaborated really well on your X-rays of your ribs. Thank you for sending those to us the other day.
Yeah, I've started collecting them. If I don't currently have cancer, I think I'm going to get enough X-rays to get cancer. So I think I've gotten X-rayed more times in the last 6 months than by like 2 or 3 times over than I have in my entire life combined.
Have you been X-rayed enough to now call yourself Generation X?
Nice,
wow.
Josh. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, just
swing.
With
my regards to Broadway.
Okay. Well, you gotta log out. Are you done?
Ross just started screaming. So.
Oh, okay.
The plant's talking.
Tell Malia just that we said thank you.
Yeah.
They say thank you.
Oh, they're done with me.
And
you can.
No, I thought she was done.
Come back.
She said she'll tell you when she's done. She has to nurse the baby right now, but she might pop back on later.
Okay.
I feel like it.
So I am going to just put her
time out.
Hey, what's Marsh doing in the chat? He's supposed to be sleeping.
Oh, hey, Marsh.
Marsh, how's it going, buddy?
Wow.
If you're going to be up this late, we can get you on the show sometime.
I'm curious if he's collaborated, Marsh. Have you collaborated?
I think Marsh recently collaborated with Jib, or from what I understand, I think him and Gibran were like.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So.
There's a spot that just opened up if he wants to jump on.
That's true. That's true. But it can only be filled by a baker's wife. Are you a baker's wife, Bart? Come be our baker's wife.
Have you seen that movie, The Baker's Wife? Very, very good.
Tasteful.
It's tastefully done. It's
Yeah.
French.
Surprising.
Yes. Baker's Wife 2, not as good.
I have a question for Jim. I have a question for the master of events here.
That's true.
So let's say like future potential animated projects. Is there any part of it you would not want to give up? Like, can you imagine drawing someone else's script? Would you be okay? Or you did have someone doing the art, like you did some writing and they did the art.
I can answer this for Jim after Jim answers.
Is there a part that you're just too precious of? Is like, no, I'm only doing my own scripts now, or something?
Drawing someone else's script would never say never, but I don't really feel that. Like, it would have to be a really unusual circumstance. Like right now, I'm not doing any commissions or any music videos. And as far as I have written for other people to draw, Bill Plimpton.
Yes.
Heard of him?
Yeah. Obviously, you would probably work with Bill Plimpton again. But for anybody else, was that like, oh, well, I'll do anything with Bill Plimpton? Like, are there?
Hey, I'm not. Come on, man. You're talking. I'm not a baker's husband. So, I probably wouldn't animate somebody else's script. It'd be very an unusual circumstance if I did. But what is the correct answer, Corey, that I would say?
100% you would never give up control of the story.
Yeah. That's my impression.
Because, and I'll tell you how I know this. I'm going to switch cameras for this.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
There we
no.
go.
You guys, this is
I know this because when Jim came to me and said, hey, let's collaborate together, it'll be awesome.
Yes.
We talked about all the different ways that we could collaborate. And he said that, it'd be cool to have some input on the story and everything like that. And every single time I tried to give input on the story, he was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Corey wanted it to be more frying pan on the head humor. And I don't really do that.
I wanted more like more action, not frying pan humor. I wasn't going for humor. I was going for like anime punching.
Corey wanted robots to take over.
Yep.
And I was like, God damn your robots, Corey. No, I get it. I know. There's a reason why I've done so many of my own stories. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But you know what? I am good. If I was, let's say Josh had a project and I just jumped on, he said, Jim, I need you to collaborate. I'm not one to like, I'm taking over like this, clear the hat, Jim's coming through, I'm a really good team player. The only thing was, I think our collaboration was, well, it should be fair to Jim. It was more of we were taking my project idea kind of, and then we were collaborating from there. Like, how do we flesh it out?
So you had a sense of what it was.
Well, we knew it was going to be Unchained Wayne.
No, that's not true. Not when we first talked.
Oh, it was going to be the baker's wife. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what it was. No, when we first talked, it was, hey, let's take anything that you see from my catalog that you're kind of interested in. Let's do something like that. And I made several suggestions, and you're like, no, we're gonna use Unchained Wayne.
Which is really a douchebag thing for me to do. I understand. But no,
it's fine.
I only have selective memory, so I don't remember any things I don't select. So, but I think the truth's coming out, Corey, and I think I'm very uncomfortable with the truth. So I'd rather go with my version. So my version's great.
I am not complaining. I'm just saying that if that's the question of what you wouldn't give up, it's definitely a story.
You know what? How I know that I liked our collaboration ultimately, though, ups, downs, middles, is because I have gone back and I can watch Breaking the Chains without cringing or without having any ill. Like, it was fun. I look back and it was fun. It was difficult but fun.
Yeah, it was. It was good.
Yeah.
And you totally put up with me completely reneging on doing lip sync. I was at the very beginning. I was like, "Oh, I've got some great ideas for lip sync," and by the end, I was like, "Freaking tired of this! You could do the lip sync yourself." And you were
There's
like,
a whole
okay.
big wagon of lies you sold me.
Yeah.
But I'd like to post Frank Salazar's quote, his latest one, because that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Those are true feelings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I'll do anything to work on the next Jim Lujan project. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's true. Jim has.
I know. By the way,
helplessness.
how the sickness works is like this. I just finished Sugar Machine. What, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And already.
Is it even that? It feels like 2 weeks.
I don't know, but I'm already planting the seeds of my next cartoon. I already know what it will be, and I'm already starting to think about it.
It's that is a weird thing, Jim, where like do we ever reach a point where we're just like, yep, that was it. That was the thing I've been trying to do.
No.
You know what the morbid part of it is? I think we all know that we have an expiration date.
Yeah.
And we all have so many stories that we're trying to get out that if we die tonight, tomorrow, 10 minutes, that we could say, look back and go, well, at least I got those done. At least I got those done.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think we'll all agree that I'm winning that race. But I don't want to die. Let's just keep it going.
All right, you guys. So let's change topics to the existential dread of our own doom.
Yes.
Yeah, and how that at its the very, very deepest, darkest core of our motivation, it is fear of death and being forgotten. That is basically why we're making things.
I have to say, I don't want to belabor that point too much, but I do love all those dark topics. Why I write them all the time. It's like, I think that's part of the appeal to me of the idea of collaboration. The idea of writing, illustrating, and creating graphic novels alone. I've done the math, and it's like maybe I'll have like 4 or 5, But if I were to write and then do my own as well, like on the side, while other people are working on the drawing of those things, that could expand the amount of stories I could tell. And I think this is one of the things that's hard and makes me very envious of your output, Jim, is like, there's so many different genres I want to try. I'm finally being able to work like on a collaborative one that's like a historical fiction, but it's like, I want to do like a mystery. I want to do like a suspense. I'd like to do like a sci-fi thing. Like I'd like to do so many different genres. And it's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to all of them.
Which is funny because you would think comics are quicker. Like people think you just you just churn them out, but it's not true. They're really difficult.
But I also think you have like a crazy high output. Like I think you are a much more prolific artist than a lot of folks out there, which is kind of awesome because it means you get more of those stories out.
I see myself as a pulp paperback writer in my story approach, but I'm writing these like ridiculously, you get those little pulp paperbacks and they have a super epic cover on them. And that's kind of what I am. Like I'm presenting it like it's a film, and it's but it's just pulp, really. And I kind of churn them out a little bit, but they're not. I don't think I just churn them out in a bad way. Like I was talking with Deacon Burns. Yeah, that Deacon Burns. I was talking with him today about like the sweet spot that I think I'm kind of hitting right now, which is like around 20-minute films, because we were saying that me doing these 20-minute films is almost like an FU to logic, it's almost like you should be doing these really short, compact short films and get them in festivals and good. And it's like I'm totally doing everything that is counter common sense because I love it and I want to do that. And when you do what you love and you don't worry about the consequences, sometimes that's when you achieve nirvana. That's when you get like you're happy creating, and I am happy creating right now. Yeah. And I've been happy creating for a few years, so not paid rich, but in time that shall come. Who knows? If it doesn't, I'm still happy.
I don't know, Jim. Your net worth online. I don't know.
I'm worth $14 million.
Yeah. What was the net worth figure that we saw?
$14 million.
Yeah.
So and then like 2 weeks before that, it was $7 million. So that's a good 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm probably in the hundreds of millions now.
Yeah, you must have
not to brag.
Yeah, did you like short the stock market or something?
Well, I was into Dogecoin.
Le Doge.
But when Corey brought this whole topic up, I didn't even think about having Gary and Malia on. I thought we would just talk, and then we would talk about Corey's experience with his actors. But then I did not realize that Corey hated his actors so much. So that was a short conversation.
Hold on.
He can't stand that.
There was some talk about they had to fill out a form. Like I want to see this form. I want to post it on my.
Well, most of them are missing now. The actors, so
that's
what
the
really
form is for, so I can locate them. No, so the form was merely just like an image release and like some contact information, so we could, and then they had to jump onto a Discord server so that we're kind of just collaborating remotely. But now, Jim, you're mixing some of the things up. The animators, the students that were animating with me, there were 6 of them that were rock stars and they were amazing. There was another, 18 of them that completely flaked out, and that math doesn't add up. But there's quite a few that flaked out.
Wow.
Then there's the live action portion of it, where I had adults involved, and that was amazing. It was incredible. Other than getting snowed out 5 times in,
your only battle was with God.
Early summer, right? Yeah. So the weather gods didn't really, but the collaborators that I had for that they were great.
Corey, you said something I really liked earlier. You were saying how there was one scene where you had to have somebody like walk down, from here to this point to this point, and you're like, I don't have to draw the background. I don't have to animate this person's walk cycle. It's like, and I know what you mean. Yeah.
I am still astounded. If I were a filmmaker, I would be making 15 films a year. You literally just say words out loud, and then other people do it for you.
Wow.
It was amazing because I have like a very professional director of photography. So I just tell my DP, like, I want this shot. And he would like set it up and light it. And then I would tell the actress, like, this is what you're thinking. This is how I want you to say this line. She would do it a couple times. I'd give her some feedback. She'd do it a couple more times. It literally was just me like standing around the set and just saying things. I didn't have to like get up and like foam roll my back and like put a heating pad on at night afterwards and like stretch out my wrist so that it was zero toll on my body. It was really fast. We shot, get this, Jim. We shot in a single afternoon, like 4 hours. We shot like 16 scenes. It's like, it's insane. I don't know how live action, where there isn't like massive CV.
And you didn't have to render any of that?
There was no rendering for anything. Yeah, right now, literally, I'm sitting here while somebody else is color grading it. I don't even have to do any of that. It's
You're kind of a fraud.
It was kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
It was like,
Well, think about this. Think about the multi-million-dollar films where they have a crew and the director is just going
Okay.
laser pointer.
I had a buddy who, before drones were a thing, his full-time job was he built from scratch a 55-foot long jib arm, like big camera crane. And so like ESPN and National Geographic and whatever and films would hire him, and he would show up to like do this stuff. Well, he did like indie things, and he did Nat Geo things, and he'd do ESPN things, and every once in a while he would do Hollywood stuff. And he's like, Corey, you can't even imagine what it's like to work in Hollywood. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, like in Nat Geo, like I show up 4 hours before everybody else does, at like 3 a.m. to start like building my crane. I do that in Hollywood. There's like 10 Teamsters that tell me, no, you can't touch that. And I just tell them what to do. And then the director says, you know what? I think I actually want the crane about 15 feet that way. And I'm sitting there like, I have to tear it down and rebuild it again. And then like out of the woodwork, there's like 20 guys that just were ready for the director to say anything, that just pick the crane up and move it. It's a 55-foot long piece of steel. And they pick it up and move it. And he's like, and I was ready to like rip everybody a new one because I thought they were going to pick it up wrong. Every single one of them knew exactly where to grab the crane.
And that's why movies cost $120 million.
That's why they cost millions of dollars, is because those 20 guys that picked up that crane, that was what they did that day. But
by the way, I don't think I didn't see that, Gary. You were laughing because he said grab the crane. I know you were laughing because
I wasn't. I don't know what you're talking about. I know, Gary, absolutely.
Grow
not.
up. Grow up.
You are projecting, my friend. No. That is outrageous.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, shooting live action. That was a pleasant experience.
Yes.
And
are you going to do it again?
I will do it again as long as I don't have to touch the camera. It's because I used to do a lot of live action right out of college when I was like 24 to 27. I shot a lot of stuff, and it's really stressful. What I like about animating and illustrating is if I like screw something up, I can just redo it. But if you're like, if you have everything in the camera and like you forget to turn the audio channel on, or you don't white balance something correctly or whatever, and it's 20 years ago because now you just shoot raw. But like you do something like that, I mean, you could screw the whole thing up, And like, so that's the same reason I hate photographing weddings. I just don't like the live nature of something when I want to get it really good. And so if I can take somebody like Christian Malum, who's like a consummate professional and is like 20 times the filmmaker I am when it comes to camera work and stuff, and just say, hey, make this look amazing. Point it that way, and this is how I want you to frame it. And then I don't have to touch the camera. Yeah, I'll do that all day.
Yeah. There was a time about 4 years ago when somebody approached me and they wanted to take my film Cherries in the Snow, and we had a few meetings on this too, and they wanted to do a live action version of it. And I was really excited, and then it kind of opened my eyes to that whole possibility of that would be great if one day people started optioning my work to do live action. I wouldn't even care to be involved or not, as long as they paid me.
Yeah.
But
get that option money.
Yeah, but and who knows? Maybe that'll happen.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites of yours, Cherries in the Snow.
Oh, thank you, Scott. That can you imagine that though? I mean, because if one person did it, then it would like snowball and But then again, this is not the business casters. This is the Artcasters. So there's a reason why I'm not multi-millionaire, because I'm not a great business guy. So I mean, we'll see. But I mean, Corey, if you were to start venturing into live action, I think you would probably, maybe it would be like anything else. You'd just totally tear into it, start, make a few films, and then kind of like your eye would go somewhere else, and you'd be like, the metaverse, or something else. I don't know. But I think I was talking to my friend Gary, the other day, And one of the things I said was Corey Kerr is extremely good at anything he tries, including heroin, but anything he tries. But you are, Corey. You have a really you have a really good focus. That's what he meant earlier when he said I was shooting this stuff right out of college.
Yeah,
but
shooting a lot of live action stuff.
You have a really good focus. I think I have a good energy, and you have a really good focus. Like you like when you do something, you approach it. You don't just like approach it without thinking of the 9 different possibilities that could, like, well, we could do this with it. Well, why are we doing it this way? Why didn't we do, try it this way? I saw you first. I saw you animate eyebrows like hair by hair, so I know that's the truth.
Not hair by hair. You're talking about the cornea, and I maintain that the eyelid changing shape as the cornea looks back and forth. That's some of the best work I did on Breaking the Chains.
That's what most serial killers would say. Yes. So just
Baker's wife is back, by the way.
Oh, Baker's wife.
She's joined us and sort of point a camera at you. Here.
I'm so confused about where the hell cameras are.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
I've been really struggling with cameras.
Just whenever you want to talk, I just have to push this button.
That by the way, her sitting in the corner like that, nobody puts Bakers in the corner. No, but it looks like you're about to say, go ahead, tell your family you're okay.
This is the side of my studio.
Tell them we mean business.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's make this look a little less murdery. Turn some lights on. Where's the zoom?
You'll just be seeing me in my true form.
Although if you guys fight, my money.
If
you guys get in a fight, my money's on Malia. By the way.
Yeah.
All of my money.
My money's also on me.
I'm just saying.
Cut a bit. I don't care.
Just one shot to the ribs. It's over.
Yeah, that's easy. Easy.
Yeah.
I think one of the kids could take them right now.
It's not a difficult fight.
I just punched you in your lungs over and over again as hard as I could.
Yeah. It wouldn't take.
Sounds like you've thought about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say this has been very considered.
Hypothetically,
Every time at 3 a.m, he comes in our bedroom and coughs his lungs out of his mouth, and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep. Can you please die in a different room?
Oh no.
I'm not kidding you. That is exactly what I'm thinking. We're at that point in our marriage where I'm like, please die somewhere else. The kids are going to be up in like 3 hours. Yeah. You're pissing me off. Take me somewhere else.
Right.
Maybe you could compromise and just tell them to die quietly.
Yeah. Could you pick a more convenient way to die? Yeah. Because this is just, you're harsh in my mellow.
Corey, I'm about to break all HIPAA rules and ask you, you've tested for COVID, right?
I have, and I've tested negative several times.
Okay. Well, if you give it a better shot, maybe you'll get positive.
Yeah.
Just give it your all next time.
Right. I'll try. Yeah. We're trying a few things. There's a lot of stuff on the table. So anyway, we'll see. It could, that was one of the things the doctor said as well. You did get COVID like 3 months after you punctured your lung and broke 8 of your ribs. So you might not heal from COVID as quickly as you thought. Anyway, so
not the smartest thing you've ever done.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a choice.
Josh, say something. Save the show, Josh.
So I did have a little transition thing that might get us back on track. So the one thing I kind of think might be worth talking about is how do you guys pick collaborators? Like for me, the book I'm collaborating on right now is perfect in the sense that it's like the script is done. I have no critiques on the script. I'm in a position where all I have to do is make the best art I can for the script. And I'm not being micromanaged. So it's like, sweet. Okay, cool. I get to do my thing. I get to make it the best thing. And my publisher, as well as my collaborator, are just trusting me in that process. And so the only feedback I've gotten is like valuable stuff, like sequential stuff, where it's like, hey, why was there a dog in the room on panel 1 and then the dog disappeared? And I'm like, oh crap, got to draw the dog in there. But anyhow, like when I do collaborate, like one of the things that has always made me work on my own personal stuff is it and not collaborate is the fact that like I think that like Jim, you, Corey, Scott, like Gary, I think you guys are a rare breed of person who will start something and finish it. And there aren't a lot of like it's surprising, but there are a lot of people who will talk a big game about wanting to collaborate, wanting to make a big project, wanting to kind of do something great, and aren't really willing to kind of like put their money where their mouth is and actually commit to it. And so I think that personally, like for me, that's why I tend to be leery on collaborating. I think Jim, you're easy to agree to collaborate with, or like Scott, who's like, hey, I need a comic cover. It's like, I will happily do that for Scott because Scott delivers. You know, Corey, same thing. Like we collaborated on an animation and it's like, I knew he'd deliver, he'd play his part, like we'd finish something, right? It's like, so anyhow, for you guys, like, how do you, like, for me, I'm really picky with who I would collaborate with, and I'm really leery on collaborating with a lot of people because of that. Because if I'm gonna collaborate with people, I want to collaborate with people who are gonna finish. I don't know, like, how do you guys decide who you're gonna collaborate with? And like Jim, you know, like, good starting point would be like, how do you pick like who you're gonna collaborate with, aside from like being like, oh, I hear this voice when I'm, you know, when I'm making this thing, like this person would be perfect. Is there also a vetting process where you're like, hey, this person's a friend, but like they're probably gonna flake on it?
Yes,
so maybe not
100.
so much?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I have no time in my life for flaking, so I don't even. Yeah, I won't even approach somebody if I think they're going to be flaky, or if I have to beg somebody to do something. I don't want anybody to. I wouldn't want anybody to be involved in a project of mine if it was a chore to them.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty good at picking people that want to be in the films. I think for me, one of the things I'm very lucky to have is, again, kind of going back to where I said I used to do this all myself. So I kind of have that ace in the back pocket of, well, I could just do the voice myself.
Yeah.
If I needed to. So anybody that's in my films, it's because I really want them to be in the film, not because it's not, there's no ulterior motive besides the fact that I think they'd be really good or I want them to be in the film. And I usually I don't write a character for someone specifically, but I do that once in a while. With the one I'm kind of working on right now in my head a little bit, I kind of know a small core group of people that I would think would be really fit for it, but I'm not sure who I'll ask to play what, you know. And if like one of them can't do it or is unavailable, then I would make a decision. Either I play that role myself or, you know, hand it off to, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio or somebody. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Leo's on speed dial with your 14 million.
Yeah, but I mean, it gets tiring with Leo. Yeah. You know, he's got, you know, so much baggage. I mean, literally brings lots of bags to my house. But I mean, that's kind of where it stems from for me. And again, you guys, I think, are in a little bit different. Your collaborations seem to be more service oriented, like where somebody's like, I'm hiring this guy as a colorist.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Not really like, let's sit down and create this together, or unless you guys start writing stories for other people to draw, which would be really interesting. I would really love to see that, because then it would be interesting to hear your individual voices in someone else's visuals. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Like, I'm curious to kind of see that come to fruition at some point because
anybody else notice
bring
that-
something new to it.
Did anybody else notice that Josh is a talking dog now?
I did.
It's true.
First we had a plant, and now we have a talking dog. It's really weird. It's a cute
But-
dog, though.
Wait a
I
minute.
knew
Oh,
taking those mushrooms before we started was a bad idea.
A little bit. Yeah. But,
yeah.
So
There's
the-
something weird happening with that dog.
the other way, Josh, that I pick my collaborators is through Kevin Cross. He sends me an envelope every month, and it has 3 names in it.
Nice.
2 names are going to be in my film. 1 name I'm supposed to kill.
And that needs to be the next Jim Lujan film. It's like a hitman who's receiving mail.
By the way, I don't think I've ever brought this up on the show. By the way,
You guys,
I hear
wait.
this is
Let's set
exclusive.
it up. Yeah, this is a Artcasters exclusive. We would appreciate all the super chats that are going to flood in from this revelation. All right, Jim, you're a funny guy.
Look, I turned into a plant. Okay. I get that a lot. I get that. Oh my God, you should do a cartoon. Like, I don't know if you guys get the equivalent to that. If anybody's always telling you should, but I get that quite a bit of like, oh my God, that's a Jim Lujan cartoon, or you should turn that into a cartoon. And I'm like, this lady just got hit by a car. It's not funny, you know. No, but that's I get that quite a bit. People saying you should turn this into a cartoon. You should turn that into a cartoon.
I've definitely had experiences where, at least the area of California I live in, I feel like I live in a Jim Lujan cartoon quite often.
You actually do, yeah.
When we've hung out, there've definitely been times like that bar with the couple slyly arranging like a weird 3-way thing.
Yeah.
There's moments like that where I'm like, I think Jim just has a Jim Lujan cartoon everywhere he goes. I think it just creates itself.
It's like a little surrounding universe. By the way, Malia, the second guy in that threesome was Corey. And we had to try to stop him, but you know, I'm
but
sorry.
You know, Corey, I
a
mean,
tight leash on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he actually he enjoys that. So, you know. So I'm sorry, Corey. It's Corey, you were saying. So how about those Mets?
I have reached the time in the evening where I'm not going to bed yet, so I can't take NyQuil, but my Dayquil has worn off, so I can't talk much anymore.
Oh, that's what we call
that
the void.
Elvis?
What's that?
I said, isn't that what killed Elvis? Mixing the uppers and downers. It was NyQuil, right? Dayquil and NyQuil.
I have no idea.
That and like peanut butter sandwiches, you know.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more along the lines of barbiturates and Coke or something. But
A little bit.
Josh recently warned me about cough medicine. Like he was very concerned.
Well, because I think Corey said I downed an entire bottle of cough medicine, and I remembered high school, and I was like, "There's no dextromethorphan in that, is there?" Because you want to be careful.
Other day, Corey told me.
Robo without realizing it.
I remember on the phone, Corey told me. He said, "Yo, Jay, I'm faded on the lean," and I was like, "Corey,
that sounds like me.
What are you talking about?" Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You guys, like, if you look at like an oldie Jim Lujan cartoon, Mama, I'm a Thug, that's Corey. I mean, to a T.
I was speaking to my confidant Gary Hodges. That Mama, I'm a Thug reference just came up less than 24 hours ago, right, Gary?
It did.
Wow, we're living in a Jim Lujan cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are.
Living in a Lujan
Corey,
cartoon.
I want your permission. I need you to sign a release. I want to take the video of you coughing and add like Norwegian death metal to it. Like
Norwegian death metal? I love it.
I thought that was going in a really bad direction because you're like, I want to get a picture of you coughing.
Well, I don't know, but we have video of you doing that now, so.
You have lots of videos of that. You're
That's true. That's personal, okay?
Yeah,
that's our private time. So now I know why Scott is so quiet on the show whenever we're on. So
Because he's too busy
Always?
screen
I know it's
capturing.
tonight, but I don't know if it's always. Is it
he
always?
doesn't want to
It's the whiskey, you guys. It's
be. Yeah, that's true.
I'm typically drinking whiskey when I'm doing these shows, but I'm like in the zone right now with this piece that I'm coloring. So
I am kind of curious, Scott, like your take on it though, like with collaboration and stuff too. Like you've been talking about potentially being interested in maybe writing something and working with an artist on it. How would you vet a collaborator, and what would you kind of what do you kind of view as like essential for a collaborator? And then I also want to hear Gary's take on this, because I mean, all I've heard so far from Gary is a lot of baker's wife business, and I haven't really. I want stop being a baker's wife, Gary. Answer the question. So anyhow, those two.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, obviously somebody who's talented or skilled, whoever you want to say talent or skill or whatever. But more importantly, somebody who can deliver on time. There's a lot of artists out there that I really admire as far as their work and stuff, but I just know that they wouldn't be able to deliver. So it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. So like you said, the work ethic is super important. The person I collaborated with on this past project, the one that's on hold and everything, and I recently hired her to do a variant cover. I would consider hiring her because she was super quick. I mean, her work is awesome. She's very professional. So I think having worked with her on this project, like if you work with some, if I guess if I was going to give advice, I would say maybe if you have a big project, maybe start on something like a smaller project just as a test thing to see how it goes, and kind of let that inform you, because I think you can pick up if like you're working on a smaller, like maybe a 2 or 4 page story or something like that, or even a pinup. Just working with somebody, I think you can kind of get an idea, how long does it take for them to get back to you? Are they giving you, like, if you look at somebody's portfolio, are you getting that quality of work, or are they kind of rushing through it or whatever? So those are some of the things that I think about,
Scott, could you ever see Young and the Dead like taking off to a point where you hired somebody to draw it? You just wrote it?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to finish this story out myself, but I have ideas for other stories in that universe. But I feel like for me, especially how long it's taken me to do this, I want to move on to something else so I can get some different ideas out there. I have another idea of something that I want to draw myself, but then I have other ideas that I wouldn't mind passing it over to somebody else. But yeah, I mean, just having all these different artists do these takes on these covers, it's really seeing how different people approach it. It's made me think. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see somebody else doing a story, a Young and the Dead story.
It'd be kind of strange to see somebody take it over, and then if their look became the signature look of the book for the public somehow.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would bother me. I mean, for me, the thing is like being the creator of it. Coming up with the idea. That's the main thing. And even letting other people do their take on it, it makes me want to up my game on my own stuff. Because I'm like, oh man, I really like how they approach that particular character, and I might, if I was to do it over again, I might incorporate some of that into it. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm enjoying it.
I could see it being really cool, and then I could also see like if you created something and then every interview people are just like, man, so and so's artwork is just incredible. Like the story's okay, but anyhow, Scott, let's talk about so and so's artwork, and you're like,
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know that would bother me, because I mean, obviously, I'm not going to hire somebody that I don't really like their artwork. So, I mean, I could say like certain people that I've hired to do these covers that, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to say, oh yeah, they do a better job than what I do. Some of it comes down to style. My style is more, at least on Young and the Dead, is definitely more like, I guess, kind of young adult style, a little more cartoony. Some people take a little more realistic approach, which is interesting to see. So, I don't know if that would bother me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. All right, Gary, it's time to stop being a baker's wife. It's time to answer the question. If you were to collaborate, let's say Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, like blows up, and you come up with like a year that you want to tackle, and you want to have like somebody else's take on it in your world. Maybe you're just too busy doing promotions for your wildly successful Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots franchise. Point being, you're in a situation where you have to collaborate, or you've decided to collaborate.
Yes.
How would you pick a collaborator? And like, even if, let's say you took on a different project or wrote a script that somebody else was going to work on, how would you go about like kind of deciding who you would collaborate with?
How would you pick a collaborator, and why would it be Jim Lujan that draws it?
Yeah, exactly. Why is it Jim Lujan?
I feel like I heard two different questions there. What would I look for in a collaborator for D versus M, and what would I look for in a collaborator for just creative projects? Did I hear that right? Like that sounds...
Yeah.
Because I would answer those differently. D versus M, I think I would be content to write and maintain creative control in terms of like stories and themes and things like that. I would be comfortable outsourcing the drawing. I bet I would be looking for something. It doesn't have to look like my work, but so there's a thematic reason I'm doing it in black and white. So it would still be black and white. Like I wouldn't want to do it color. There's like a choice for that. And I think it wouldn't have to look like my work. I would hope it would look better than my work, but it would have to have a similar aesthetic choices. So kind of like I'd be looking for someone who takes a lot of time to draw faces and hands and things like that, who can draw different expressions, who can draw a little more like nuanced with like, the human characters. I would I would want a more of a realistic feel to it, not super stylized. So like I wouldn't want someone like to draw it super cartoony or
anime.
No, no, because I and it's not that it's impossible, but I feel like I want that kind of Wally Wood, Al Williamson, Bernie Wrightson kind of look like that. I wouldn't say it's realistic, but it has that kind of gritty.
You want a clean line style?
It wouldn't have to be clean line, but it needs to be realistic and detailed enough where you're looking at it and you can picture what it would look like in real life.
What about like Bill Sienkiewicz?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. So in that family, like I could so there's some. In terms of other people, like for example, the voice acting, the cover for Scott, and other things I've done over the years. Honestly, like I could give a million different like criteria I'm looking for, and they're all like things. It's like I need to personally like them. I need to feel like we would work well together. I need to, but ultimately, and the thing I mentioned before, like I'll try anything once. So if you ask me to do something I've never done before, like voice acting, like do a cover, it's like I'll probably try it at least one time, just because I've never done it. But ultimately, the biggest thing for me is like it's just got to be fun. Like it's got to feel like fun for me. Like I'm so busy with day job and then drawing my own comic.
Yep.
I don't have time for a third job. And even if I had the time, I don't have the emotional energy for a third job. Like it needs to be something that sounds like, oh, that would be a nice diversion. Something like, and that's how it was with both these two things, where it was like, oh, that sounds fun. Like I think I would enjoy doing that.
I feel like when we talk on the phone, Gary, both of us are two like Larry Davids.
Yeah.
We're just
A little bit.
like, we don't have energy for this.
Yeah. No, it makes me think of the Curb where Larry David's trying to talk Jerry into doing like a reunion show. And Jerry's like, why would you want to do that? Like, you're not that kind of guy. He's like, oh, so we can get together, so we can have fun. He's like, you're not that guy. Like, why would you? I think I'm a little bit of that guy. Like, it needs to be. I need to think like, oh, that sounds like a trip to the comic book shop to me, or playing a video game, or going to see a movie, or or drawing someone's cover, like playing with their characters. I've had a lot of fun, going through Young and the Dead to look at these characters I'm drawing and kind of figure out like, how am I going to draw them, and like, how do I want to do them? How would they look in my take, and yeah, coming up with voices. Like, it's just a fun something to do. So that would be, even no matter how much it was paying, no matter how quick or minimal the demand would be, if it sounds like a slog to me, I probably won't do it.
I saw your cover, by the way, Gary. It's coming along really good.
What's that?
I saw the cover that you're doing for Scott Young and the Dead. It's coming along really good.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, if you haven't seen it, it's a bunch of kids standing outside an apartment.
Yeah.
And there's this guy opening the door. He looks like Harry Potter.
Dressed like Harry Potter, but he's clearly not Harry Potter.
And there's a little bubble that says, "You're young and soon you'll be dead."
And there's a very crude cardboard sign over the door of his apartment that says Hogwarts.
You guys,
this way.
I don't know if you're aware, but like the whole arc of DVSM is actually going to connect to that ending.
Yeah.
Where two kids walk up to Gary Hodges' apartment looking for Harry Potter.
Yeah. No, that's the whole reason I'm doing it, is to meet kids, to meet more kids.
Yeah, of course. That's about that.
Which is a totally normal thing for an adult man to say.
Yeah. I wish you would have ended the show on that note, Corey.
We could.
We could.
Malia just asked a question. What was that?
When are you guys going to start calling Gary Potter?
Oh my God!
Wow.
Probably no one thought of that yet.
I thought we actually had a little rapport and got along, and now you're doing this to me. What
Gary Potter.
I couldn't let it go.
Wow!
Holy! It's like he put a spell on us, and we didn't think of it. So you broke it right now.
That's true.
I had to take the attention off of the baker's wife.
Baker's wife.
I'm trying to undo. I'm trying to get the time to slip backward.
How about Gary Potter and the Baker's Wife?
Oh my gosh, that's our band name, Jim. If you want to ever collaborate on music,
there we go.
that's our band
I like
name.
it. That's my next collaboration. Sounds fun. That's my next collaboration.
Animate that, Jim.
Yeah. And
Gary
that's
can
what
be
we
our-
full circle.
Yeah, Gary can be our lead singer in that band.
Very nice. So, Corey, if I'm in charge, I'm ending the show, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, on that note, we're almost at 2 hours, and I soon need to wake up my wife by coughing to death so that she can get annoyed at me and tell me to go in the other room.
She's going to smother you with a pillow.
I never have
that's
yet,
true.
only in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is, Corey, just as planned, we now have video documentation that's been said. So if you disappear mysteriously, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
We're on to you,
Which
Malia.
I really want to thank you guys for setting this up, because now when we have that played publicly for a month in our divorce trial in the defamation case that we have.
Divorce trial? You mean your murder trial?
Yeah, exactly.
For real.
I think you're in
I was
trouble
trying to do
here.
an Amber Heard Johnny Depp joke, and I just kind of lost it.
Yeah.
So Malia keeps, every time I mute my mic to cough, Malia keeps saying, you've got to take NyQuil. And I'm afraid that if I did that on the air, it would be bad. So I'm going to go take some NyQuil off the air. But before I do that, you guys should go to CoreyKerr.com and, I don't know, watch something or do something. Josh, like whatever. There's stuff on there. You'll consume some of it for free for some reason. Buy a T-shirt while you're there.
The promotion machine known as Corey.
The greatest
Josh,
show.
we're going to explain your stuff.
Oh, sorry. I will be at Toronto Comics and Arts Festival.
Josh, can you do it in an English accent, please?
I will be in Toronto. I don't know which range of England. I guess I'll just do like a Cockney thing and then
I
offend
think
anybody.
My
who's
Fair
British.
Lady was the best choice, so I'm glad.
Modern English.
So I shall
American
be.
English, maybe.
I shall be perusing the aisles of TCAF, and I would greatly appreciate it if you joined me for a perambulation around the area. Perhaps, perchance, to stumble upon the book Jacob's Apartment, which is a very interesting account of a young man in his apartment, and you should pick it up. That's the worst pitch in the world. But yes, make sure you pre-ordered Jacob's Apartment, and I'll see you guys at TCAF if you're in that area. So those are my two, and then of course, like buy 2 stories, on Amazon. I dare say I shall pass thine mic to Scott Circle. Oh wait, Scott always goes last. To Gary Hodges. Gary.
I like.
Where may people stumble?
I'm still
upon
stuck
thy
on the fact that you just put perhaps perchance together, and it kind of worked. It kind of worked with the voice. I've got them right here. D vs. M 1975 and 97 are back in stock on my Etsy shop. If you go to my Instagram at Dinosaurs vs Marsbots or my YouTube under my name, Gary Hodges, you'll find links to the Etsy shop. You can order them now while they're still available. There they are. Look at they are right there. Clean, crisp, shiny, brand new editions. They still have that fresh comic smell. Hotter than a baker's wife.
I love it.
So yeah, and then I'm doing Saturday late morning live streams when I'm starting a new page. Come drop by. 11 a.m. Arizona time on my YouTube channel. That's all I've got.
I've heard that they're very magical. So Jim, where can you're our guest? Where can
I'm
everybody
laughing at
you?
hotter than a baker's wife.
It is good.
It's wonderfully terrible.
So, where can everybody find your new animation, which is up, and all that fun stuff?
Well, as Johnny Depp would say,
Ooh.
don't tell me what it's like to get punched.
All right, that's my English accent. You go to jimlujan.com. Everything begins and ends there. That'll take you to my YouTube page. You can watch Sugar Machine there on my YouTube channel, but jimlujan.com will point you there. And then I think if you go to patreon.com/Jim, if you go to Patreon, type my name, Jim Lujan, there's a link there. And
it was really quite fun to be a cartoonist, animator.
Well, yeah, it's sort of Christopher Walken, Johnny Depp. Pretty good.
So, quick hot take: Johnny Depp's never going to get his career back, correct? Like that's like doesn't matter how the trial turned out.
I don't. I think he will. Hopefully they both will. I have no ill will. They both treated me very nice with kindness. So, Oh, by the way, they're both in Sugar Machine. So go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it and try to pick which character's there.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp plays O.J. Simpson.
Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my work at circworks.com. You can also find my videos, Circworks on YouTube, and just be on the lookout. Be aware that the Kickstarter for Young and the Dead, issues 1 through 5, will be launching in next month in July. So we'll get some cool covers from some of these people on the show. So you definitely want to check that out when it's live, and I'll be talking a lot about it. So hopefully you won't get sick of it.
If this was a Josh Campbell live stream, this show would be called Baker's Wives, Harry Potter, and Collaborating. And I think it should be.
I don't see why not.
I love it.
That's for the best.
All right. Well, Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch everybody later. Go do the things, go make stuff, hit the thumbs up and the bell and all that jazz, and make sure you sign up for that newsletter so you know where we are next week.